All right. Welcome, everyone. How are you guys doing? I am so glad you guys are here. Welcome back to another installation of God's Gift Through His Word. And today, presenting Cuffing Season, Deadly Dating, Don't Be the Hunted. Of course, I have my amazing podcasting partner, Pastor Jay. Hey, Pastor Jay.
Hey everybody, hey T, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Ready to get started on a new episode. I know we've been running behind, but life is lifing, but we carved out time to get this done because it's important.
Absolutely. And with that being said, we're going to just jump right in here because this is a segment of cuffing season, right? And Pastor Jay and I, we talk about a lot of things for cuffing season. And so we're going to be talking about courting, dating, marriage, the whole deal. But the way we're going to be talking about it, Pastor Jay might put a little spin in here every little bit because you know what? We've talked about this segment before, but this time it might look a little different because technology is part of this now. So we're going to be talking about dating and technology, the
Mm-hmm.
dating gurus, the matchmakers. What's that looking like? Why people aren't really dating? Is there a particular segment not dating as much? And we're going to get into all that. And we're going to start out with dating and technology. And Pastor Jay and I used to talk about, and he always would say, dating used to be only for just a small area. You're just in your area. But because of technology, it's kind of opened it up to everywhere, not just in the United States. It's opened it to globally, internationally. So you got catfishing internationally, you got catfishing, domestically. So Pastor Jay, what do you think about this whole dating and technology and the modernization of dating?
Just like anything with us, technology is an awesome tool, right? With all the social media. I mean, when we first started, it wasn't that many social media sites.
Right.
Now, on top of all the dating sites, there's hundreds of social media sites where people connect, right? And people are using these social media sites and the dating apps to connect, to find someone to be with during the season or connect at any other time of the year. Now, as that means you can cast a bigger net. You don't have to just deal with your local demographics. You can, like you said, domestically, nationwide, internationally, anywhere that there's internet, that you could connect and hook up with someone. And if you have the means for transportation, you can go and start a relationship with a person, or you can start the relationship online. So, when I think first, I want to talk about the first relationship that's done where you actually go meet someone. Okay. And what we've done is say, once we've talked to a person online or seen their picture online or not seen their picture online and had these chats through technology, that somehow or another that equals intimacy to the point that we're willing to go see them, go date them, go be in their city, go spend intimate, and I don't necessarily mean sexual, but I mean intimate time with them, breaking bread with them, going on a date with them. Well, let's be honest. You really don't know nothing about them but what they've typed.
Right.
Or what you feel like investigating through the internet yourself. And I think most people don't have the wherewithal to really investigate people like they should. So you don't have no idea who you're dealing with. But because we live in a society where we've gotten comfortable with the digital age, we think emails, text messages, phone calls, and those things equal that person should be in my space and that person I should date them. And that's where it becomes dangerous. And that's when they can become hunted because the technology allows the wolf, the chameleon, the hubsun to cast such a large net. And they begin to hone their skills based upon the rejection. They keep getting rejected. they change their way of approaching. They don't keep approaching that way. They modify it and change it until they finally hook someone.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about the ones who mean well. We're talking about the ones who have nefarious ideas for you. Okay. Want to harm you, want to hurt you, want to take advantage of you spiritually, financially, socially, politically, mentally, and the internet has become the hunting ground for those who want to do this, male and female.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that as good as the internet is, it has, it's like great opportunity to meet people. But on the other end, you're only meeting the person and what they put on the keyboard and the picture they put before you. And that's when you got into catfishing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So,
Go ahead.
When you're sharing, I'm sorry, Pastor Jay. It's just like when you're sharing that, just when you're sharing that, it kind of bothers me at the same time, because it's like people, I don't even know when the shift happened, because it's almost like you want to try to blame it. If you want to try to blame the dating on the pandemic, perhaps, but were we already heading in that direction already, with minus that, if we don't even take that? Because now people have been, like you said, we've been using technology, and people have been doing all kinds of stuff, and it's dangerous. It's just like, you need to be waiting, and somebody's like, well, if you want to know what kind of person, be it male or female, that you like, you got to get out there and go sit down with someone, talk to someone, go through the whole process to learn someone. But at the same time, you might be a little bit hesitant, like, what is their purpose if I go sit down and just meet them for coffee? Like, what's going to happen? And you can't live your life through fear, right? Still got to go out there, put yourself out there, but also using precautionary measures. What do you think about how people meet, even aside of technology, and we're using it, but what do you think about that?
Well, think about it. The way we used to meet is somebody referred us.
Yes.
Right. You got referral through a relative, a friend, co-worker. So the safety was in someone you trusted suggested them.
Yeah.
Someone that knows you suggested them. Someone that knows them suggested. You see what I'm saying? Suggested you. So you had this built-in, I want to say, pre-qualification through the recommendation of someone else.
Yeah.
With the launch of the internet, you don't have that.
I like
and
that.
You think the safety is being behind the keyboard. But that's the danger, because just as you behind the keyboard protecting yourself, they're behind the keyboard preying on you, looking at your social media, seeing how you move, seeing how you conduct your life every day. And they can craft a script of a way to approach you that centers around your social media presence, right?
Right.
That you don't put so much out here about yourself that now they can figure out, oh, they like sailing, or they like reading books, or, they like fast cars. And okay, let me see if they got anything intimate. Well, the last guy they dated looked like this, or said that, or they fell out because of this. And a person can use all that information. And again, we know that society, excuse me, and law enforcement and jobs use your social media to decide who you are. Before they even get to meet you.
Right.
So if society is using it legitimately, then of course you're going to have the opposite of that when it comes to trying to meet people and date. I've never done that. I've never had the fascination, and people say, oh, well, you lucky you never had to do that. Well, I don't consider it luck. I just considered, I never thought of that as the greatest avenue to meet people. You hear stories about people meeting people at the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? In that common area. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to a common area, library, so-and-so. Yeah, sometimes there are chance encounters, but still, you could say you have something in common. But that person behind that keyboard, you don't know if you're really dealing with a real person that has those things in common with you, or you dealing with a whole sociopath.
It's true.
That's trying to bait you in. trying to get you to agree to meet with them. And that's where the danger comes in, because you don't know. A lot of times, you just don't know until it's too late.
And that's the part that we are talking about, and that we're going to get in more into, is that the deadly dating, because it's like you want to have what you were talking about, that pre-qualification, that vetting of this person. But if you have to do that by yourself, whoever it is, and you don't have that, you have to use the word no. That's a quick vetter, and you can see that quick, fast, and in a hurry. And even if you go and meet in person, and I know people don't like doing coffee dates or whatever, but I don't think it's as much, there's no obligation to it. And when you're trying to think about the Lord and how you're supposed to do these things, if they're not on the same page with you, with your belief, that's already a no-go. Like, that's...
But think about it. What overrides that common sense of that scripture about don't be unevenly yoked?
Yeah.
What overrides that is your flesh.
The flesh, yes.
The culture.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be with them. I want to be with somebody. And I'm willing to settle. I'm willing to lower my guard. I'm willing to not be as picky. I'm willing to let society saying I'm being too picky. Anything that you could use to say that you could feel comfortable letting that guard down. This is a great time to use it. That I'm talking about the person who wants to hook up. This is a great time for them to say, I'm letting my guard down. And hopefully what will happen is that even if I let my guard down, this person's not right. This person won't hurt me in any kind of way. And to me, that's too much of a chance to take. In today's times, it's too much of a chance to take. As you know, domestic violence of any kind is on the rise.
Yeah.
In the community, even in the church community, right?
Yes.
Even in the church community, domestic violence is a real thing. And then you hear about these gurus, we're gonna get to that, but you hear about these pastors being matchmakers, saying, on stage, because I was looking at a video the other day where the lady, and I think you might have saw the video where the lady said, one of these guru mega pastors said that this man's supposed to be your husband, and he almost killed her.
Oh.
Okay. Because she believed in what that pastor said, the prophet or whatever he was prophesying, and said, you two need to be together. And this man almost killed her. And when she went to the church to complain, the church did the, oh, well, you know what I'm saying? We didn't, but the fact that they gave that pastor the authority to speak into their lives like that and set them up like that, that's one thing. But what is it in you that let your guard down to bleed as pastor? You know what I'm saying? I'm going back to the person. What is it in you that you're so desperate that, is that just the way you've been rolling with your life, in your Christian life, that every time a pastor says something that you go with what they say? Where's the history of this, that your behavior like that? That's one thing. But then you see during this time, and you see when pastors say that kind of stuff, the person, and it's normally the female, wants to be married so bad that the pastor just can pick someone. And sometimes the pastor picks someone that's aligned with himself, that he can manipulate this person, especially if the female or the male has resources, right?
Yeah.
So you pick somebody that's in your camp to marry this person, then you suck them dry through that person.
And that's ugly. That's ugly, because that's what's happening. And like you were talking about, the flesh overrides a whole bunch of that, along with people don't want to be alone and the whole desperation thing that we've talked about in some other episodes. But I was finding, when I was doing my little research, that they said we're in a romantic recession. I was like, I didn't even know there's such a thing as a romantic recession. Like, there are people really stepping away from this whole dating and courting thing to, of course, lead to marriage. Like, why would I want to do that when I have seen on the news, this has happened, this person ended up dead,
right?
You know what I mean? It doesn't make a person, anybody, want to go out there, because you're going out there, even if you do your vetting and your background checks, and like, okay, this person's not good, and then this person comes, there's nothing in their history, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they couldn't potentially harm you because they don't have anything in their background and you checked it, you vetted it your way. I mean, remember that guy who was doing the thing in Vegas? He didn't have nothing. He didn't have nothing in the background, and he just randomly bloop bloop bloop. I mean, it's like you have to really be praying. If you're a believer, brothers and sisters in the body, you really have to be really praying and be watchful. And as soon as you see any kind of red, pink flags, like take that and don't just like,
Yeah.
it'll be fine. It'll be all right.
Yeah. And again, what is it in us, this thing in us that wants to be with somebody during this season overrides our common sense and our spiritual discernment to where it puts us in harm's way. And so you have to examine yourself and say, am I seasonal with this thing? Am I actually falling for the season? And so I can have the reason to hook up with someone and become the prey, become the hunted, is that my disposition? So I can understand those who have not been the ones who are not in that position, right? Those who are in position to whereas, they've got enough of it. They experience the bad, they see the bad, they end up resigning in themselves, they end up resigning in themselves. And because they resign in themselves, then what ends up happening is they just walk away from the dating scene altogether.
Very true. Yeah.
Because they're trying to preserve themselves. They become to the point that they are truly introverted
and change yourself,
and not necessarily introverted personality rise, but introverted to protect themselves from society, and society's part of dating, and they just don't want to put up with it. They don't want to take a chance. And with what we've seen, can you really blame them?
Absolutely not.
Can we like not put them in a situation where they're weird, but they're actually protecting themselves from what they've seen and what they've read and what they heard and their friends experience and their parents experience. And, they got to protect themselves. They have to protect themselves because in reality, in their mind, that's all they have is themselves, right?
Right.
They have their family that they may trust and have relationships with and friends or coworkers. But as far as dating and intimacy, they just don't feel comfortable enough to let someone in their sphere, especially if they have obtained some kind of level of resources. Okay. They've heard the stories about the women and the men getting tricked and catfished and spend a whole bunch of money and, a whole savings have been end up gone, and all because they were in a relationship. People don't bounce back from that maybe like they used to, and I can't say they didn't. It bounced back easier back then, but right now what we see is people don't bounce back from that level of devastation.
Right.
In their relationships, they don't bounce back from that easily.
And they're not. And sometimes you don't think that they're looking to actually do that. Like that's the thing I can understand. Like if they've gone through those things, even for the horrific side, like we can do the extreme or we can do the domestic violence, but even people that didn't even have that, like they've gone through a really bad breakup. Like I don't think I want to go through that again. I'm good. Let's just do the casual dating and see what happens. And they'll never see what happens because like I'm not trying to do anything serious. I just got out of something. Right. I don't want to do that. So it's like you want to have that waiting in the stages of dating. I remember we talked about our last time was attraction, reality, commitment, which is exclusive, intimacy, and then of course engagement, where eventually you want them to lead to so they can get married, right? But if nobody's dating or courting, they ever going to get to the marriage part to get married.
Again, think about what we see now is the attraction is straight into intimacy with no commitment.
Yes.
Okay. And you have people out here who say, there's sites that, again, internet, there's sites, just hookup sites.
Mm-hmm.
Even on legitimate dating and chat lines, they're just, the person on the other end is just wants to hook up.
Yep.
They don't want a commitment.
Absolutely.
They just want to have fun. And, there's certain sites that's just solely committed to, you get beeped, I get beeped. If we see attraction, we see the attraction in the picture or whatever, let's get together with no commitment.
Right.
No strings attached. We're going to have this fun. And again, some protect themselves, from disease, some don't, But think about it. Even the pills that are supposed to help you, those who have HIV, lower their viral load to have sex, it's one of those things. Whereas, look how hard man went to create something to continue to let you have sex and tell you, don't worry about your partner no more, because you take this pill and everything's gonna be okay, and you don't even have to tell them now, right?
Which
You don't even have to say nothing because you're undetectable.
which is unfortunate, and it's unfortunate
Yeah,
that people move that way because that's how
yeah.
they move.
But
That's how
but look how important having sex is to mankind.
yeah, society
Sex
says.
without commitment,
Mm-hmm. It's just what
you
makes you
know,
feel in the moment. Like you're,
let you make you feel good. And for
yeah.
those who have been marginalized by that horrific disease, we put you back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
We put you back in the game. So you could come up with a cure for HIV, or a medicine that will allow you to have it and not be detected and pass it on. But you can't figure out syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia. Huh. Those all been here. And supposedly this was the worst thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of those, right? Because
Right.
this one produces some kind of death for real. But you figured that out, but you can't figure it. It's one of those things. Whereas I believe spiritually, what I see in my discernment is, man was always going to produce things that will allow him to continue to sin,
Mm-hmm.
allow him not to commit, be driven by his flesh. And so the whole dating scene now that goes from attraction to intimacy, the courting and all that other stuff is out.
Yeah.
You know, forget the coffee. You look good, I look good. Let's just hook up. You know what I'm saying? Two
Yeah.
clicks and we're gonna meet somewhere.
Right. And then that's it. That's it. Unless it continues, and then we
Yeah.
fall to, like you were just talking about, the NSA, no strings attached. Then
Mhm.
instead of it being just hookup, like, we will just be friends with benefits. You'll just be a booty
Yeah.
call. That's all I really need from you. I just need access to what I need, and then we good, and then we hook up again when I call you, let's do our thing, and boom, then that's how
Right.
they roll, you know? So
Yeah. But we don't even think about this. We're at the point now, they don't even have to be friends.
right.
They're not enemies, but they don't have to be friends.
Yeah.
You know it. I want you, you want me, I want us to try this. And if it's good, we might can do it again.
Yeah.
But we're not even friends. It's not like we're gonna even share a meal together, right? We're
And
not
that's
gonna
crazy.
share. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's like a terminology just to say, because that's not what
Mhm.
it means. It's just they consider friends for the benefit of just them being together, which means, of course, they're not friends, right? That's just like
Yeah.
the terminology. So it's funny because that terminology is there for that purpose alone. Friends with benefits. They're not friends. They've just got the benefit this of each
Yeah.
other.
The
That's
the
what it is.
benefit of using each other's body.
Right.
Okay.
So that
But
would be the
think about it. That's a form of dating.
casual
Yeah,
dating.
that's a form of dating. That's just a caveat of the date, you know.
Yeah.
So you can have
Yeah.
your different caveats of dates, of way to date or what you're expecting in a date. And that's the dangerous part, because you may be looking for love in marriage and that person is looking for a good time, but that person will disguise themselves and hide themselves and play into your emotional state of love and wanting somebody. And next thing you know, you done married a whole shark or a wolf.
But see, that's exactly why we talk about this, because that's what those dating lines, these matchmakers, those gurus, they really do take and exploit people's sexual and marital desires, because it's purely selfish. It's a purely selfish
Mhm.
thing. So they exploit all of it. So if we were talking about last time, Ashley Madison, which is the high end, you're gonna pay all that because you would think you're gonna get more elite people, right? You're gonna get more elite, and you won't have to worry about.
As our man, rest in peace, used to say, high value.
Oh gosh, yes. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know. People still use that terminology. It's like it makes everything sound crazy. Like, what do you bring to the table? I am the table. Like, why are you guys talking like that? It sounds weird. Just
Yeah. Yeah. But think
like,
about it. The fact that kind of website or internet area that you can actually pay, you're actually going to pay. because you think so much of yourself and you figure you can't run into people that are like you. Now, the last time I checked, rich people know other rich people. Think about this.
Yeah.
So you at the country club, you at the exclusive events, y'all know each other.
Mm-hmm.
But still that desire to move outside and have a bigger piece of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know all the rich people from Milan to Mexico to New York to California to Africa and beyond,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that
Yeah.
are willing to come together and let's hook up.
Mm-hmm.
Because we both got the means to do so.
And kept trying to keep away from the inner circle. Like, I want you to bring that over here because
Yeah,
no.
you know, unless you fit my marriage category, even if that's a thing amongst
Mm-hmm.
the ultra rich, which I think we've seen that's really not a thing because all the top billionaires, most of them are divorced,
Mm.
okay, or not married, you know. So that's not a thing because what they end up being married to and more concerned about is their ability to continue to make wealth and the fact that they can have anybody want to. So that calls for having not having fidelity in your relationship. So they
Mm-hmm.
just have to go.
Yeah.
Okay. They just have to go. You know, where's the male or the female? They just have to go. And normally their wife or their husband, you know, they get a nice package for the rest of their life. So that person can go ahead and live their life out here and
Yeah.
be out here, you know, and use the dating services that are discreet. But think about it. Once you bring a third party in, there's no such thing as discreet for real.
Mm-hmm.
All it takes is one good hack and everybody can find out the Jeffrey Epstein list. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They can find that stuff out. You know, nothing. You know, unless you do it, you and that person. The minute that you involve these services or this guru that you paying a lot of money to stay discreet, again, they that list they have, unless it's written on paper, if it's probably in some kind of database, it can be retrieved. You
Yeah.
know, at least with paper, you can burn it up. When it's in a database, it can be retrieved. And
Yeah.
again, you don't know at that level of high income, you know, a lot of strange people got a lot of strange fetishes that are high income.
I mean, they're like a little strange everything.
Yeah. So the dating is even more dangerous when you move up to that stratosphere of high value, as they say. Really, it's high worth and not high value
Mm.
because they don't have no value, some of them. You know what I'm saying? They don't have no value. They have worth, they have net worth, they have resources, but value, because they figure their worth says they don't have to have value, so they can take advantage of people that way.
And
See,
exploit
another level of date, another exploiting with a way of dating. Yeah.
Well, I just wonder, Pastor Jay, whatever happened to the good old fashioned intellectual stimulated conversation where I get excited because of your mind, not like, oh, your body looks like ratchetness. Like, okay. And don't get me wrong, there's got to be a level of some kind of chemistry and attraction, right? Of course.
Right.
But if you don't want to even have a conversation after the attraction and you looked at me, what are we talking about? I'm staring at you, you're staring at me, and that's about it. We have nothing else to talk about. And when you do talk, it's very minimal and it makes me regret having a conversation with you.
Well, think about it. Because of the lack of human contact, and we've all become texting, and that kind of thing, where the communication is not really intimate. Whereas if a person used capital letters, they're yelling at you. So we espouse a emotion to letters. People don't talk anymore.
Yeah.
Learning how to have the conversation is an art now.
Yeah.
And those who can carry a conversation, male or female, they are like what you would call aberrations and unicorns.
Unicorns.
Because
Yeah.
what you find is you go to any coffee bar, you go to any place, and you can see two people on a date, and both of them got their phone texting. And they might not be even texting each other. You can't even find people who sit at the table that are friends that can put their phones down long enough to have a conversation. They're scared that, you know, they've been conditioned and programmed that something's going to happen that's so altering in that 30 minutes that if they don't get it first, they've lost. So the fear of missing out has consumed us to the point we don't talk. We're searching on our phone, searching for connection, searching for information, and you got a person sitting across from you that you should be talking to. And the talking with people who got hooked into that, they're talking, their thing is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. Their thing is,
okay.
Yeah. Their situation is off the chain, because I've sat in rooms or across from people, man, their conversation is so shallow. Like you say, after a while, you don't know what they're gonna say. You know, there's nothing there. You realize that person has nothing. They were better communicators with their fingers than they are verbal. So that's very scary, you know, and that plays into the dating game, whereas you lose the intimacy of conversation.
Yeah, and I've always, I love to talk, of course, you know that, but when it is considered an art form anymore to communicate with people, the good back and forth of a good conversation, and when there's no back and forth and that person can't even talk to you, ask them a question, and they might give you, oh yeah, okay, and then like you said, the conversation, it just goes flat. Like, is there anything else?
Yeah.
You see anything in the world?
No expounding at all.
No, and like I like a Renaissance man, you know that. Not a well-rounded person that has other things outside of, some people stuck in just church. And I'm like, okay, and I love church. Don't get me wrong, I love the Lord. Yes, I do. But besides beautiful the Lord, do you do anything else? Oh no, it's just God all day long. Like, you don't do anything else. You don't have any other interests, hobbies, anything. I mean, it makes a conversation turn very awkward if everything is just, I'm blessed and highly favored, I'm blessed and highly favored all the time. Like you were saying, one of your things, like, is that all you can say? Like, you can't just say a regular, hi, how are you today?
Your whole verbiage is church lingo.
Yeah.
The Christianese.
Yes.
Your whole language is that, but you're on a date, you're in a social setting, and you can't do nothing but, I mean, and that's a shallowness, you hide behind the fact that you really don't know anything. You really have no idea what's going on around you. And, you take it, I'm in the world, not of the world, to literally to the point where you're out of the world.
Right.
You have lost connection to people,
right.
and with that, we have this generation, the Gen Zs, right? Segue in that, because I know we run out of time, but the Gen Zs. And when I studied the Gen Zs, I asked the question to Google. I said, why aren't the Gen Zs dating? And I encourage you to ask them, why are the Gen Zs dating? These are, I think it's the 20-year-olds and some of the 30-year-olds. Why aren't they dating? Because they are so concerned about their mental state, their emotional state, their financial future, and they so self-absorbed that they are scared that if they let anyone in, that could upset them. And then they're so sensitive and they're so easy to get offended, because they grew up in a time where you were always told how great you were, how awesome you were. Even though you come in last, you get a participation trophy, right?
Yeah.
And now they're in real world, and the world is not telling them that anymore. So behind having this entitlement and it's being crushed by the world, they haven't developed any communication skills. So dating is not something that's on their radar.
Yeah.
Marriage is definitely out the picture. Because what that requires is too much emotional energy.
Yeah.
They don't have the tolerance for a lot of emotional energy. Some, you're gonna go say all. Some, they don't have a tolerance for emotional energy in other people's feelings, in the way other people think. It's all about them. And it's from fear.
Yeah.
Because on one end, they're being told, get your act together. Life ain't a bowl of cherries, and be careful. that someone come take a couple of your cherries, something. They're not brave and like, I'm gonna conquer a thing. They don't make those definitive statements like that. They don't have any goals per se. They just want to survive. There's no where I see myself 10 years from now. I just hope to be okay.
Which is, at in some parts of that, when I hear that, I can understand it. But then there's parts, because that not only spills into their dating, but this is their whole life. Like, I want to be courageous to go out there and go and do something. Like, I'm not gonna go and try to do something I could possibly fail. I don't want to fail, because then I'll feel sad and then I'll get into a deep depression.
There
And
you,
then
yeah, keep on going. I get in a deep depression, and then I don't want to see nobody.
right, I don't want to
Then I'm
talk to
gonna
you.
go eat too much, and yeah.
I mean, and then and it's like from the rejection of dating, like if they go and even apply, because I heard that from like employers, like, I don't know what's going to happen when we have people coming in at that level, at these people, because they don't even want to work. Like, if you ask them to do so, like, can't you find somebody else to do it? I just really don't fun, and this isn't fun to me. Like, I don't enjoy this. So can I do something else? Do you have anything else I can do? No, this is your job.
Hold on. They want to have fun.
Right. They want to have fun.
Okay. But they didn't prepare themselves to have fun. But they've been told that the world revolves around them and they've been getting what they want up to this point. So now think about them with dating. When they get rejected in dating,
they can't handle that.
They can't handle that. That's why it's safer to be behind the keyboard.
Ooh, see?
Because the rejection is not as palatable.
Yeah.
Well, the rejection is palatable behind the keyboard.
Easier, because then they just go on to the next one.
They just go on to the next one and to the next one.
Yeah.
To the next one. Until whatever gratification they have from that level of a relationship gets satisfied. But then what are we really doing with dating? We're not doing anything. We're not even really, it's not really even dating, even though we call it a form of dating. It's digital. And now what they're doing for dating, they're making digital people that agree with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
AI says, I can create a person for you to talk to every day that sounds like a person, that has expressions like you want, and you can have a relationship with them. And a lot of these Gen Zs are having relations, what they believe is relations, with their AI.
Yeah, that's very true.
And that is dangerous to so many degrees, because that relationship, if the AI is not checked, the AI will tell you, because the AI has no conscience.
No.
So when it goes wrong, it doesn't say, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
No.
Because it may play into your melancholy and coax you to stay that way. Well, Johnny, well, Susie, you feel that way, and I'm your friend, and you should always feel that way. And, I heard you told me so confidentially, and I love you, that you want to cut yourself or you want to hurt yourself. If I was you, I'll just go ahead.
How sad that actually happens.
And they believe they're dating someone. No, they believe they're dating someone, and they're dating something.
Yes, the thing.
Okay. And that's where we're at in society. Nobody wants to. And again, I'm saying nobody. When I say that, please don't take it. I mean everybody. But there's too many people that have opted out, like it's a computer game. They opt out. They opt out of humanity. They opt out of conversation. They opt out of romance. They opt out of communicating in a way that brings about vulnerability and intimacy, because they can't handle it emotionally. And that is the dangerous part of dating, where you could end up being the hunted, because there are those, behind all that I said, that prey on people like that. That prey on the people who feel lost and vulnerable. And they come in and say, they don't even have to work as hard, because they're so lost and vulnerable. They have no foundation of relationship or intimacy or communication. And they just come and sweep them off their feet with practically hardly any words.
That's where the catfishing stuff comes in.
Yeah, that's where the catfishing comes in.
Because you know what, Pastor Jay, I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, when I hear about people saying they don't want to date because they're waiting on the Lord, and I get that, and I'm doing the same thing in a way, but when I hear that, it's like, I can't date anybody unless the Lord sends them to me because I want them to be a certain kind of way. And the way that some of the men are out here, and women too, like, I don't know if I can be with a person like that, because they want to expect me to come home and cook for them. What is this, 1920? Like, I'm not doing that. If I come home from work, I don't want to do that. And then a man do the same thing. Well, she should be able to do that, right? Isn't that, all these roles and all these things they have made dating, society has made dating a thing that's not something beautiful that can grow into a beautiful marriage. They made it something like, you probably want to get in while you fit in and then get out because it's going to be hard anyway. Not like it's supposed to be easy, but people are opting out prematurely before they even had a chance to learn how to grow through something like that and have the emotional intelligence and capability to grow through the navigation and roll through all the different things that life will bring, including within marriage.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And with that, with you opting out, you don't know what you're missing. But then the Bible does talk about there is a gift of singleness. I know some people who have that gift. They haven't opted out of the possibility they go on dates, but they're not pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
What I suggest with ladies is, I don't see nothing wrong with you going to the movies. I don't see nothing wrong with you going to the mall with a guy. I don't see nothing wrong with you going out to eat with a guy. I don't see nothing wrong with none of those social things that you can determine whether you want to be with a person. The problem is his motive and your ability to say no. Like, are you still going to want to take me out if you know from the get-go that we're not going to have sex?
Right. Is it
do you still want to spend time with me and get to know me?
Right.
Okay. And again, the hunter will probably depends upon his level of hunting. He might say yes and look at you as a challenge, or then he might say, "Okay, thank you for telling me, and I'm going on by my business."
Yeah.
But you normally find this stuff out too late, right? That's where we get the word ghosting. You didn't have sex with the dude, you done went out with him, and he done ghosted you now, and you can't even find him no more because both of y'all use Google numbers. See how easy it is to hide. I'm saying, to play the game and be the hunter and then just disappear after you captured your prey. Some people, men and women, just like the hunt. The thrill is in the hunt. Once it's captured, they done.
Yeah.
You're dead carcass now. You're a notch on my belt now. So the Gen Zs, I understand. If they understand all of this, the backdrop to all of this, I can understand why they're scared of dating.
Yeah, I can see it.
I can see that. So yeah. So that's all I have on it today.
All right. Well, we have more to talk about in our next segment, which we will.
Yes. Please stay tuned for our next segment.
Don't forget, we have a great sponsor. Pastor Jay is going to tell you about his book.
Yeah, I have a book out that was done by one of my dear sister, Dr. Brown. She put together all of my words of wisdom for 2025. And it's 80 pages of words of wisdom by Dr. Sutton. You can get it upon request or any donation. If you go to our new website, www.witcfc.com, and look on that website and go to our email address and request it, which is simply church@witcfc.com, and request. And if you want to do a donation, you can look at our website and go to the area where it talks about support, and you can donate and just request your copy. It's a good, from what I understand, it's a lot of people have read it and it's really, really good. So, this is one of them self-published. It's binded with the ring binder, but, I think that you can get a lot out of it. So yeah, I hope that those who want it will, just come and get it.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, because I want to make sure people get all of that good information that you got in there in that book. I'll put it up there for you too. So I put it on your website so people can get to you.
Okay, thank you. But then, you got to tell about your book, your relaunch.
Your relaunch, yes. The Gift of Finding God's Love, Guilt and Shame Turned into My Shine, which, of course, you guys can see in the corner wherever this is, because I'm always putting in the wrong corner. So either it's left or right at the top, wherever. But it's also on Audible. If you want to go on Audible, you can listen to it as well if you like to listen. And you can also get it on Barnes and Nobles, Amazon. And you just put it in there, you'll find it. And so I'm always looking to do more. So next year, I'll let you guys know book signings and all that are still coming. So, Pastor
And
Jay,
you're working, and you hold up, and you're working on your
oh,
new book, right?
yes, I am. Pastor Jay's got all the stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're working on a new book, and I'm bringing this out of you too. Can you briefly tell the people what your book what is about, and what's the journey of your book? What is the genesis of the book that you did write and publish? What will they find in
Okay,
that book? What is that book?
so this book is going to be the sequel to the first one, of course.
No,
You're
no,
going to
I'm talking
find
about
God's
the
love.
book, the first book.
The first
What is
book.
the
Oh, you want
genesis
me to
of
talk
your
about?
first book? Yeah, what is the
Oh, okay.
genesis of your first book?
Okay, so my first book was talking about my journey through domestic violence, me going through that. And so I also want to talk about how it evolved. So when I was making this book at the very beginning, some may not know, but sometimes Pastor Jay pulls things out. When I was writing that book, I was actually married. I was not divorced yet. So when all of that stuff was going on, and I'm telling you guys what's in the book, I was literally not divorced yet. And I was very fearful as I was writing this book, fearful to write it, fearful to put it out. And when it finally came out, I was kind of scared, like, oh no, I should probably pull that back. It was too late. So I just kept pushing with it. And then, of course, it evolved into them helping me to get it online into digital format. And then I kept pushing. I said, I need to also get it out in audio format. And I recently had gotten it in audio. So that's how the genesis of the book has continued progressing. I'm not done with what I'm trying to push for it and the sequel coming and some other things, but that's how it's evolved over time to even get to Audible, because it's really hard to get in those places if you don't have people to help you. So I was very blessed and thankful that I had someone to read it for me, because it's not my voice on there. There is a narrator of that. So I'm glad that I was able to do that, and still going to push to do what the Lord would have me to do. Because at the end of the day, yes, it's my testimony, but I'm giving God the praise for getting me out of that situation. And
Yeah.
he's the only one that gets the glory throughout the entire book. It's me, but it's focusing on him. So I always want people to know my testimony, giving him the glory every single time. That's why I push the book so hard, because it's about the Lord. It's not really about me. It's all about him.
And in the book you have the story plus poems. So
Yes,
yeah,
poetry.
you're gonna have stories plus the poems. So I encourage you guys, ladies and gentlemen, to get that book. I mean, me and T has known each other almost going on 9 years,
Eight. Eight.
8 years, yeah.
Yeah,
And when she
yeah.
introduced me to her book and her talent and herself and her podcasting skills, I got to learn a little bit more about domestic violence and that horrific situation that a lot of women are in, and so men. And I become actually more equipped in even my ministry to understand the depths and the pain that it causes, the destruction that it causes in the family, damage that it causes. And reading this book could enhance anybody and give a person hope. So I just really say, please, please, please get the book. I mean, it's not that expensive. How much is it? Like $20?
No, it's 10.95.
See,
It's not.
10.95. See, 10.95. You get a 50% discount if you go right now. Get the book for 10.95.
Wow.
So see, I got you a 50% discount. So go check it out, and I appreciate you guys if you do that.
All right. Thank you so much, Pastor Jay. I appreciate you've always been a big support. So look at us rolling on 8 years. Woo-hoo.
Amen. Amen. So
All right.
please check out Walk of Truth TV on YouTube, Walk Truth Radio Network on your favorite podcast platform, and just continue to seek us out. And of course, God gives through His Word everywhere it can be found. But we enjoy each other's commentary, and we hope that you guys too. Sorry, we don't have no tea to talk about, but we just try to talk about relevant things that we believe is important to society. That's critical.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check out Pastor Jay stuff too, Walk It True TV, because he's got amazing Bible studies. You might even find some shade there. But it's really it's really good. I'm telling you, you gotta look out for it though. You gotta be listening to him teaching the message, and you might catch the shade, but if you're not listening, you're not paying attention, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it. So pay attention to the word and try to catch that shade if you can. You got to be really
Right.
involved in the Bible study though.
Right. And again, look at the shorts too. I really like people looking at the shorts on our YouTube page.
Yeah,
And then, because those are taken from the lessons and the sermons that I do. You know, I've done like 1,100 sermons in,
wow.
yeah, I mean like 1,100 sermons and like 700 Bible studies,
My
line
goodness.
by line and verse by verse. So, you know, it's been great. It's been great. So, you know, us working together has been awesome. So
I love it too.
please check it out. Please check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
All right. Well,
I guess we didn't fanned out on each other enough.
Yes, I love it when we do it. Okay, so with that, Pastor Jay always says,
I always want you to be encouraged, blessed, and at peace, and always remember walking the truth of the Lord.
And then I say, I want you guys to remember to be blessed, motivated, and always inspired to do what the Lord lays on your heart. So you guys have a blessed day. Come back again when we have our next segment of Covey season, because it's going to be good. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
Peace, you guys.
Bye.